Namaskar. This is Dr. S. Srinivas Raghavan, Professor and Head, Department of Library and Information Science, Bharathasan University, Tiruchirappalli. Welcome to EPG Pathshala, an initiative of University Grants Commission, Government of India, which gives number of online course materials and act as a learning repository of higher education subject content. The project is executed by Influence Center, Ahmedabad. The present model I am going to make a presentation belong to the paper Knowledge Organization Cataloging Practice. In this model, we are going to see how to render cataloging entries according to Classified Catalog Code CCC and Anglo-American Cataloging Rules 2 Revised Edition AACR-2R. This particular model, we are going to see how the cataloging entries can be prepared for the conference publications. According to Classified Catalog Code, the conference publications are discussed in the chapter JE. The rulings and descriptions for rendering of the publications brought out on the deliberations made in conferences, seminars, workshops, events, exhibitions, fairs and festivals, and other programs where a group of people had deliberations and the outcome is documented in a document form. The rendering of the name of the conference is to be on the analogy of the section of the chapter JD in CCC, which is meant for rendering of the institutional publications, heading to be rendered in the name of the institution or organization. So accordingly, the chapter JE gives the rulings and descriptions on the analogy of chapter JD, which is meant for giving directions to render the institutional and organizational publications. Accordingly, the name of the entry heading for the publications of the conference should be in the name of the conference. The name of the place of a conference and its year are to be added as individualizing elements to the name of the conference, which is not held periodically. For example, Tamil Book Lovers Conference. The individualizing element can be added as the place Chennai and the year 1995, both in circular brackets. International Peace Conference. The place The Hague as an individualizing element in circular bracket and the year in which the International Peace Conference held at Hague 1899 as an individualizing element. So two individualizing element, the place where the conference convened and the year in which the conference convened. The periodical conference is to be rendered in the name of the conference and the place as the individualizing element. For example, World Tamil Conference, which is repeatedly convened in different locations. Hence, the title should be rendered as World Tamil Conference Madurai and World Tamil Conference Kuala Lumpur. This means a conference convened repeatedly at different locations to be rendered with the name of the place as individualizing element along with the name of the conference. In this model, we are going to derive the publications. The different publications comes under the framework of conference seminar. There are 4 exercises we are going to render cataloging entries. The one is for the general conference and other is for the diplomatic conference. Then the conference as a series with the conference numbers, numbered conference. The another one is conference by the organs, committees and commissions of the institutions. We will see one by one how to make the rendering. For the diplomatic conferences, the name of the place of a diplomatic conference used to be prefixed to the name of the conference, not held periodically, so as to form a word group if it is not already in the name of the conference, and the year of the conference is to be added as individualizing element. This means the place of the notable diplomatic conference to be rendered jointly along with the name of the conference. For example, Geneva Summit Conference and the individualizing element the year 1956. Vienna Congress, the individualizing element 1815 to 15. The conference of diplomatic importance like Doha Conference, Lahore Congress, Round Table Congress, it should be mentioned along with the place where the conference also convened. The name of the place has to be made part of the word group, since it would mean the government of the place if it is made an independent main heading, and thus a homonym will be created by cataloging convention itself. That is what CCC describes. If the name of the conference without specific name and not held periodically, it should be rendered in the name of the class or persons meeting together as conference. That means librarians meet, doctors meet, merchants meet, along with the name of the place as individualizing element. If the same conference in the name of the group of persons held in same place, for example, librarians meet convened repeatedly at Mumbai, it should be mentioned according to the rule JE42, librarians meet Mumbai as an individualizing element and the year 1988, librarians meet Mumbai 2002. It has to be rendered accordingly as a unique heading for the particular document. Organ of the conference. The next type of the conference publication. If a conference is the organ of another corporate body, it is to be given as a multiple corporate heading. According to CCC section FR57, that gives rules and renderings for the multiple corporate organs under the government and its subordinate bodies. So here also a conference is the organ of another corporate body. It need to be mentioned along with the heading of the corporate body, as it has to be rendered according to the rule FR57 meant for government and its subordinate bodies, particularly the corporate bodies. According to FR57, which is meant for rendering of the heading of the multiple corporate bodies, the rendering of heading should be in the name of the corporate body. For example, Collectors Conference of the state of Tamil Nadu. Before rendering the name of the conference as heading, it should starts with Tamil Nadu, Collectors Conference. Then individualizing element Chennai 2013 as one more individualizing element, year of the conference. Then the heading should be of Tamil Nadu, Collectors Conference, Chennai 2013 as individualizing elements. If it is for multiple corporate bodies, it should be rendered again following the rules of government and its subordinate bodies. For example, Chief Educational Officers Conference. It has to be rendered as Tamil Nadu, Higher Education, Department of as individualizing element, Educational Officers Chief as individualizing element, and the place Madurai as individualizing element, and the year 2014 as individualizing element. So it should be rendered accordingly for the organ of the corporate body of the conference or multiple organ of the corporate body of the conference. Now we will come to the exercise. Here we can find the exercise with the conference title and also a editor. Proceedings is the title of the conference. National Conference on Documentation Networking is the title of the conference, held at University of Delhi, May 3 to 5, 1990. It's a continuation of the title. The title should be rendered as a whole. National Conference on Documentation Networking, held at University of Delhi, May 3 to 5, 1990. Edited by Professor C.P. Vashishta. Delhi is the place where it is published. University of Delhi, the publisher, 1991, the year of publication. Other information also you can find here. call number 2:97 P44, N90, N91 pages, preliminary pages, 12 preliminary pages, 350 textual pages. Access number is 55431. The size is 27 centimeter. Main entry according to CCC is derived for this exercise following the rule JE1 and JE2. You can find the leading section consists of class number and book number. It has to be entered the topmost line of the cataloging card. Start from the first vertical, and there must be 2 type space between class number and book number. Accordingly, it is entered as 2:97 P44, N90, and the book number N91. The next is heading section. Heading here it has given for the name of the conference, documentation and networking. The introductory part and numbers and all other things should be omitted according to the rule. So accordingly, only the exact name of the conference, documentation, networking entered, and it should be in caps as an entry element. The individualizing element, national conference on with a hyphen, the place as Delhi, one more individualizing element, the third individualizing element, the year 1990. As usual, the second line of the heading section should continue from the first vertical. Hence, the heading is documentation networking in caps, national conference on Delhi 1990 as individualizing elements. The next is title section, proceedings is the title, followed by the editor, ED by CP Vasistha. The bottommost line of the cataloging card, that is to enter the accession number. Accordingly, the accession number 55431 is entered, and as usual, it starts from the first vertical of the bottommost line of the cataloging card. The next is tracings. The tracings prepared for the class index entry. There are 2 class index entry for the last digit of the class number, and the remaining for the remaining part of the class number. Accordingly, there are 6 class index entries are prepared. The first one is proceedings, documentation and networking, national conference on Delhi 1990. The second one is conference proceedings, documentation, library science, then documentation, library science and library science. Book index entry, author book index entry for the heading, documentation, networking, national conference on Delhi 1990, then collaborator book index entry for Vasistha, second element CP, and with the descriptive element for collaborator as ED, underlined and full stop. Class index entry. First class index entry for the whole class number, proceedings, documentation and networking. It should be rendered in caps and individualizing elements. National Conference Delhi 1990. The next section is the directing statement, that is for documents in this class and its subdivision. See the classified part of the catalog under the class number 2:97 P44, N9. So third description, that is the respective class number, has to be entered at the end of the directing statement, and there must be 7 letters caps for F, documents in this class, class C and its subdivisions S. See the classified part C and P of the catalog under the class number, in which C is caps and number N is caps. The next class index entry also prepared accordingly for the respective class number, conference proceedings, documentation, library science. For documents in this class, the directing statement and the respective class number 2:97P. The third class index entry, documentation, library science. For documents in this class, then the respective class number 2:97. The fourth class index entry for the main class, library science, for documents in this class and its subdivisions, and the class number 2. One author book index entry for the heading, documentation and networking, national conference on Delhi 1990. It should be entered in the leading section of the book index entry, and the heading section consists of title, the end of the title the respective call number has to be entered. Accordingly, the call number 2:97 P44, N90 and the book number N91 is entered. Collaborator book index entry for the conference volume editor Vasistha. Here we have given him in the leading section the heading for the entry element of Vasistha and the second element CP within circle brackets, comma, the descriptive word ED underline full stop. Then the heading section, as usual, the heading documentation and networking, National Conference on Delhi 1990, colon, the proceedings, and the call number has to be entered. So along with the title, here heading also has to be entered in the heading section for the conference publication, as to emphasize on the title of the conference. Now you can see the main entry prepared according to AACR-2 for the same title. The main entry and the description for this exercise as per the rule 24.7b1, 24.7b3 and 24.7b4. You can find the main entry. The address we are describing here above the leading line before the first vertical, class number of the document 2:97 P44, N90, exactly below the book number N91 and the access number entered below the book number where the description part is over, 55431 before the first vertical. The address part is over, which consists of class number, book number and access number. The next is choice of access point. There is a heading. It should start from the first vertical of leading section. The heading according to the rule is National Conference on Documentation and Networking. The continuation should be rendered the third imaginary intention, and the individualizing element, as mentioned earlier, the year of the conference followed by the place where it convened, 1990 : University of Delhi. That should be in circular bracket. Next is description, the title and statement of responsibility. The title is proceedings, slash is the connecting symbol between the title, and here the statement of responsibility is the conference name, National Conference on Documentation and Networking, comma, held at University of Delhi, May 3 to 5, 1990, as exactly printed in the title page. Then the mixed responsibility or shared responsibility. Here the mixed responsibility to be entered by the semicolon, edited by CP Vasistha. Then the improved statement, it should be connected with the connecting symbol full stop space dash space, place of the publication Delhi, then colon, name of the publisher University of Delhi, comma, year of the publication 1991. Physical description, as like any other AACR-2 description, starts with the preliminary pages 12 in small Romans, textual pages to be entered in Indo-Arabic numerals 350p for pagination, semicolon, the physical dimension in height, that is 27 centimeter, 27 cm. The next is tracings. Here documentation Congress, according to the subject heading we have added the word Congress. The next is information networks Congress. Two subject headings prepared according to Library of Congress subject headings, and one entry for the editor Vasistha CP. Subject entry, it has to be entered in caps above the choice of access point. Accordingly it is entered. It should start from the second vertical, documentation Congress, and the remaining as in main entry. Next subject entry for the information networks Congress. It is also rendered in caps, starts from the second vertical, and the same as in main entry for the remaining description. Collaborator entry for the editor, it should be in running letters Vasistha, CP. Then the choice of access point and the remaining as in main entry. The next title is for the numbered conference with the collaborator. Here you can see the exercise. Proceedings of the 31st Indian Science Congress held at University of Rajasthan, Jaipur. The date of the conference from 29th to 31st December 1992, edited by Professor Amit Bhattacharya, published by Indian Science Congress, Jaipur 1993. Other information you can find here. Call number for both DV decimal classification and column classification is given 509.54 for DV decimal classification number, and for column classification A small m 44, N62. The book number is N93. Access number is 93991. Size is 26 centimeters. Pages, preliminary pages 11 pages, 511 textual pages. ISBN also you can find the information 98231 51131. Let us see how the entries can be prepared for the CCC and also AACR-2R. In classified catalog code, numbered conference are treated as periodicals. Hence, heading has been prepared as per the CCC rule PJ for periodical conference that is held at normally in different places. Accordingly, the main entry is prepared. Here you can find the leading section as usual with the class number and book number AM44, N62. It is entered from the first vertical. The next is heading. According to the periodical descriptions, the chapter PJ rulings, the titles, 2 letters of the title should be in caps, proceedings in caps, and the sponsoring body should be separated by a comma. Accordingly, the comma has been separated. Then rendering for the periodical conferences as Science Indian Congress as an indigenous element. The next is periodicity section. Here, as like periodicals, 1 volume per year by V, small capital V for the volume, and then the volume in which the library holding starts and the year in which the volume started or the publication started. The next is about library holdings. This library has volume 1 to 5, semicolon, the years, respective years of that volumes, then the current volume, and if it is continuant, it should be rendered in pencil. Accordingly, volume 31 hyphen space semicolon and the year 1962 onwards available in the library space, and it is continuing. The tracings. Tracing, there are 2 parts. The left hand side, the details of the volumes which are available for the periodical publication. The same way for the periodical conferences, that details has to be mentioned. It should consist of the serial number, year of the volume, the conference, the place of the conference where it is held, and the book number and the access number. Accordingly, for all the volumes, it is mentioned up to the volume number 31 from the year 1962 to 1992. 1962 Calcutta, book number N62, access number 11334, and the 5 volumes mentioned we have given here. The 5th volume 1966 Lucknow, N66 for the book number and 15551 the access number, and it is continuing. Hence the continuing marks have been given. The last volume which is available in the library 3/1/1992, the year of the conference, and Jaipur, then the respective book number and the access number 25997. When the tracings particularly for the periodicals and periodical conference if the space is not enough, it has to be continued in the remaining cards. The other cards can be used and continued in the back, like that statement has to be mentioned. Accordingly, here also the cataloging card prepared. And the tracings, the right side part of the cataloging card, the back side of the main entry. Here, proceedings, Science Indian Congress, Science Indian Congress proceedings. Then as per the periodicals, the entries for the name of the periodical. Then actual class index entry for the natural sciences has to be prepared. Accordingly, the generic class index entries and also optional class index entries, then ordinary class index entries prepared in the tracings. Generic class index entry, periodical. Proceedings, Science India Congress, the whole class number. Then generic class index entry 2 for again periodical, Science India Congress proceedings. Then optional class index entries for the periodical and the class number A, natural sciences. Then the directing statement for documents in this class and its subdivisions, see the classified part of the catalog under the class number. Then the usual class index entry, the natural sciences for documents in this class and its subdivisions, the directing statement and the respective class number A. So here for the generic class index entries, there must be the title information and the whole class number of that document. Not like other class index entries, the directing statement should come here. So this is what normally in periodical. So since it is a periodical conference, the rendering also according to CCC has to be entered. Now we'll see the main entry for Anglo-American Cataloging Rules 2. Here the heading has been rendered as per AACR-2 24.7A1, and as per the provisions of this rule, the number preceding the name of the conference has been omitted, and as per 24.7B1, 24.7B2, 24.7B3 and 24.7B4, it is used as first individualizing element. As per the rules of CS list of subject headings, the word Congress has been added with the subject headings. Already we have discussed that normally the AACR advise not to include the numbering of the conference and the place if it is a part of the conference name. So hence accordingly it is entered here as individualizing element. We can find the main entry card, which consists of the address including class number, book number and accession number. As usual, the class number entered above the heading line 509.54 and just below the book number before the first vertical, both numbers has to be entered. Then the accession number where the description is over, accordingly 93991, the accession number is entered. Then choice of access point, you can find here Indian Science Congress, the name of the conference. Then indigenous element 31st colon 1992 colon University of Rajasthan. Then the heading, title, proceedings. The title is with the conjunction of, then it has to be entered as it is printed in the source, that is title page. The proceedings of 31st Indian Science Congress held at University of Rajasthan, Jaipur from 28th to 31st December 1992. So the whole title information we have described here. The diagonal slash, the connecting symbol between the title and statement of responsibility. Here the statement of responsibility, mixer responsibility, is edited by Amita Bhattacharya. Then full stop space dash space, the imprint statement Jaipur, the place of publication, colon, the Congress, the name of the publisher and the year 1993, the year of publication. Next paragraph is a physical description. Here preliminary pages, textual pages and size. The preliminary pages 11 in Roman smalls, comma 511 textual pages P, semicolon 25 centimeter. The next is ISBN and terms of availability. Here ISBN number we have entered, as it is a separate paragraph which should start from the second vertical. Accordingly, the ISBN number 982315131 is entered. Below that, as usual, the tracings. Here the tracings for Science India Congress, then one entry for the Amit Bhattacharya, the chairman of the conference, as it is mentioned. Chairman added entry. Subject entry, Science India Congress, as usual it has to be entered in caps, accordingly it has been entered, and the remaining as same in main entry. Then collaborator entry, Bhattacharya Amit, Indian Science Congress, the remaining as in same in main entry. Third title, this is for the collection of papers presented at conference and editor. The collection of papers presented at conference and editors according to AACR-2 and CCC. You can see the title here, the DV decimal classification, outlines and papers presented at a workshop on the teaching of classification, December 8 to 10, 1966, held at Columbia University, edited by three editors, Morris F. Chauber, Carlyle J. Frary, Nathan C. Butts, School of Library Service, Columbia University, New York, 1968 is the imprint statement. And the other information you can find call number 2:51 M7 N68, access number 21621, pages 1 to 1, size is 24 into 14 centimeter. Let us see the main entry to be prepared according to CCC. Here the headings chosen as per the CCC rule GC5 and MD33, and it is rendered as MD54 and MD33. The rule MD33 and MD54 is meant for, MD33 is meant for 3 or more authors, how it can be rendered according to CCC, and rule MD54 direct how the collaborator has to be individualized by using the directing word. So accordingly the entry has been given, and the rule CG5 says the personal author versus corporate author conflict. Whenever in a document, if you find the information about corporate authorship, maybe in the title page or verso of the title page or some other important part of the title, the cataloger, the librarian need to look into the extent of the contribution. If the personal author has the contribution at the maximum extent, the heading has to be rendered to the personal author. And in case of the corporate author's contribution and there is no significant role for the personal author, the heading can be made according to the corporate author, and the personal authors can be considered for the cross-reference entries or the error entries. Here, though it is a conference outcome and the editors, they were edited and rearranged the collected papers or presented papers in the conference, hence accordingly the entry is given to the personal author. And according to the rule MD33, there are 3 authors. The first author has to be entered, or the other others need to be omitted by using the word etc. Accordingly, the entry is given here. Chauber, the entry element of the first author, Morris F, the second element, that is in circular bracket, Chauber in caps. The word etc. or and others has to be used, followed by the collaborative function ED for editor, ED full stop underline. The next is title section, DV decimal classification. the subtitle, colon, outlines and papers presented at the workshop on the teaching of classification, and the accession number. The bottommost line, it starts from the first vertical of the cataloging entry card. Accordingly, the main entry is prepared. Tracings for the class number, DV decimal classification, classification library science, and one added entry for the collaborator, Chauber, Morris F, etc. ed. Class index entry, the first class index entry for DV decimal classification. For documents in this class and its subdivision, see the classified part of the catalog under the class number directing statement. Then the third one is respective class number 2:51 M7. And the class index entry 2, classification, library science, directing statement. For documents in this class and its subdivision, see the classified catalog part of the class number, the respective class number 2:51. Class index entry 3, library science, for the main class, for documents, directing statement, and the respective class number 2 at the end of the directing statement. Author book index entry, here you can find the author collaborator here, Chauber in entry element caps, it should start from the first vertical, the leading section of the collaborator book index entry, Morris F second element, etc., ed. And the title section, title, then the third description is the call number of that particular document. Accordingly, 2:51 M7 and N68 is rendered. Now the same title, we will prepare the entries according to AACR-2R. The heading has been rendered for this exercise according to the rule 2.1.1b2, the general rule. And subject and title being identical, there is no title entry prepared for this entry. You can find again the address, which consists of class number, book number, and accession number. It is entered as usual above the leading line and before the first vertical. 2:51 M7 class number and N68 book number just exactly below the class number. Then accession number below the book number where the physical description is over. Accordingly, it is entered. You can find the choice of access point, workshop on the teaching of classification, where for the same work we have given the heading to the personal author in CCC according to that rule GC5. But here we are giving the heading to the program, the workshop, according to the rule emphasized by AACR. Workshop on the teaching of classification. Then as usual, the individual single element, year 1966, Columbia University, the place. It should be rendered in circular bracket. And as mentioned earlier, the continuation of the choice of access point should start from the third intention for the corporate authorship. The next description is title, statement of responsibility, edition and imprint statement. The title, DV decimal classification, followed by the subtitle with the colon, outlines and papers presented workshop on the teaching classification, December 8 to 10, 1966, held at Columbia University. Diagnosis class separated the statement of responsibility. Here the editor, Morris F. Chauber. According to AACR 2, up to 3 authors, we need to mention all the 3 authors as shared responsibility. Here all the 3 collaborators are the shared responsibility. Then it is to be entered, followed by the kinetic symbol, Carlyle F. J. Frary, Nathalie C. Butts. Then imprint, place of publication, full stop space dash, New York. Then the colon, Columbia University, School of Library Service, 1968. The year of publication. The physical description, 121 pages. It's the second paragraph. It starts from the second vertical. Then the dimension 24 centimeter in heights. The continuation of the tracings, it should be in the Indo-Arabic numeral, that subject headings, DV decimal classification, study and teaching. And for the editors, 3 are entries for the editors, Chauber, Morris, Frary, Carlyle, and Butts, Nathalie. Subject entry, DV decimal classification, study and teaching, it should be in caps. and the continuation should follow in third imaginary intention. Accordingly, it is entered above the choice of access point, the remaining same in main entry. And then the collaborator entry for the Morris Tauber, Morris F in ordinary letters, running letters, then remaining as in main entry. Accordingly, collaborator entry for the Cartile Freire, the Freire entry element, Cartile second element, same as in main entry, and for the third editor, Nathal Birds entry element, comma, second element Nathale, and remaining as same as in main entry. So we have prepared for the title according to both CCC and AACR-2. The next one is temporary organ of the conference. As already in the introduction, this is also another type of the conference publication. Let us see how the entry can be prepared. First, we will see the title, School Health Program, Report of the Committee on School Child, Thomas D. Wood, MD, Chairman of the House is White House Conference on Child Health Protection, held at Washington in 1929. The Century Company, New York, London, 2 places of publication, 1932. Other information here, call number G15:6,73, emulated, N290, and the book number is N32, access number 89134, preliminary pages 11 preliminary pages, 3 textual pages, size is 22 cm. Sheet proceeding to half title page, they are given a White House Conference on Child Health and Protection was called by President Hoover. A conference established the Committee on School Child in 1929. This is an additional note information. Let us see how this information can get importance in rendering of the classified catalog code and also AACR-2. Being a temporary organ of a conference, heading has been rendered on the analogy of CCC rule GC, and from the last digit of the class number, 2 class index entries have been prepared, as well as 2 author book index entries have been prepared. You can find the main entry which is prepared according to CCC. As usual, the leading section consists of class number and book number. It starts from the first vertical, T15:6.73, inverted comma N29, T for the report, and N32 the book number. So accordingly it is entered, the book number entered after class number giving 2 type space. Here also again the rule number GC, the personal versus corporate other conflict, and according to the extent of the content, the corporate heading, the corporate author has its own importance, hence the heading is prepared for the corporate author. The Child Health and Protection, the White House Conference on, then Washington, the Indigenous Element 1929, again the committee, School Child, the committee on the Indigenous Element as per the description of the corporate multiple organs according to CCC. And the title School Health Program, the subtitle colon report is entered in the heading section. The access number is as usual in the bottommost line 89134 is entered.